Good morning. This is Wilkey with Startup Trading. It is 8:46 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, April 23rd, 2020. Just want to look real quick. We just had the 8:30 unemployment claims, so we've now erased all job gains since the Great Recession. I don't know why they call it that. It wasn't so great if you ask me. But anyway, since 2008, 2009. So we're going to have flash manufacturing PMI at 9:45. That's the rest of the scheduled news for today as far as things that will affect the equity futures. What I would like to point out is that as far as things go, you can look down here on the level sheet for the different you know ranges that we've had. So we've you know up 2% basically, except for see how much more the Russell was the laggard yesterday, right? Up only 0.83%, but look at the shining star, right? The Nasdaq up 2.45, almost 2.5%, and then the ES and the Dow around 2% up. So that's the way it's been for a longer time on these charts. Is that the Nasdaq's the outperformer, the Russell's the underperformer, and the Dow and the ES are just middle of the road, right? So what I want to look at is if you look at these range percentage charts each day, you'll notice that even though we had that nice pop up yesterday, right, we're still just sitting here going back and forth on these, around the zero line. So for the last 5 days, look at the last 10 days, you can see how, again, we're just consolidating up in this range. Last 15 days, you can see how we've kind of come up here and we're just consolidating. So we're kind of at that decision point. Jack keeps talking about it in his videos too. Are we going to trade off lower from this halfway back short, or we're going to end up popping through it? So we'll just have to watch and see. But as you get up to the 60-day time frames and farther, you can see the outperformance of the Nasdaq by far compared to the Russell, right? And the same thing when you look at the year to date, there's a big disparity between the two, and you can see that the Nasdaq was positive for a few days up here after having that spike down. The other three indices have quite a ways to go to get positive. So looking at yesterday's action, right? Yesterday's action was, as far as what we're used to, is a little bit smaller, right? 41.75 points yesterday. The initial balance range, the first hour of trading after the bell, was 20 points. So as we go through here, you can see where Tuesday's value area was, and as we look back up and we hit going up to this is where we open, right? We come back down to R1 basically, come back up, held the open later, held above the overnight high, and then just collapsed at the end of the day right back down towards it. But really, we didn't give anything back yet, right? So even to get back into Tuesday's value area, we're going to have to get down to 27.60 down here. Looking at all the indexes, you can see although the Nasdaq has been the leader, the last week it has been the laggard. That with the Russell, so the Nasdaq hasn't been the beta play as of late. So we'll see if that streak continues or not. But it is much farther ahead than the other indexes on this rally. It didn't sell off as much, so it didn't need to come back as much, but it's already, near the flat line for the year anyways. So sorry about that. We'll screw through here a little bit, and then we'll get into these longer term charts in just a second. So looking at the Dow, what we have here is, the Christmas tree pattern, right? We have a mixed bag as we're going through here. And then from the open, you can see that only two of them were red close to close. The majority of them were green close to close. But if you look at where they close in their range, right, and this is going to match up more, this is from the open over here. There was a fair amount of losers: Boeing, Disney, J.P. Morgan, Pfizer, United Healthcare, Raytheon, United Technologies. Those closed at the lows of the day. And if we look at the profile for yesterday, we can see the blues the overnight grays, the bell to bell. We can see in here, right, we got a nice line basically right at 27.92, that if we stay above that, right, and then get above yesterday's highs, that's going to be it. But if we start trading backwards, right, just watch that point of control on the ES. That's going to be a line in the sand to watch after the bell rings. For the NASDAQ, you can see how differently it looks. So you can go all the way down to right around 8,600, just a little bit over maybe 8,605 down in here. And then obviously getting below the point of control is going to be problematic. But between basically, 8,605 up to the high of the day, right, that could be a little bit of a chop zone as well. So looking at the ES overnight, 33 points. You can see that value area lows 27.7550, and we only got 2 points under that, 1.75 points below that. So nothing really doing there. And so if we look at where could we possibly go to the upside, I wouldn't think that we're going to be able to get much traction above R2, but we'll see. But that's going to be a point that I'm really watching today, and it could just be another slow bleed up. Getting above, the European close is really going to be what sets it. Could we get another short squeeze pattern that's a little bit more dramatic than yesterday? Of course we could. So looking at all the indexes, you can see that 4 of the 4 now are above value area high. They're heading towards yesterday's high. They're heading either heading towards or making new overnight highs now. Right, looking at sequences before the news come out at 8:30. Choppy for the ES, choppy basically for the NASDAQ, and choppy pretty much for the Russell. So where does that leave us? If we look at this longer term contract, right, we've been flirting with this 27.77, right, to 27.95. Now, what we'd like to see is for the bulls, right, is 27.95 be support, right, and then you can see we got this valley right here at about 28.08, and then we're gonna can go up to 28.22 above that. So this should be starting to get a little bit more dicey up in here. It's gonna take some force and some conviction from the buyers to get basically from this 28.38 up to 28.47. Looking at the NASDAQ, we're just right at resistance right now, around that 8,700 basically. I have it marked off at 86.98, and we'll see if it can actually clear it and let that become support. You can see how that was support, and then it become resistance. Now, this is our second knock on it after driving back down basically to the bottom of this distribution before we start the next channel or the next node set, right? Next distribution. So as we climb up here, let's see if this can be support. It's likely that we could even just serpentine around here and fill in this area. Looking at the rut, the Russell's already above 1197.20 again, and you can see it really flirted back and forth with it yesterday, right? So as we try to get here, where can it go to next? Really, there's nothing to stop it until you get up to around 1221.80 to 1224.40. That should be the next real resistance. I don't think anything before that's really too major for this indice. Leaving it off with a Dow here. So the Dow is getting above their node, right? So that is 23,391. That should be support for the Dow. Breaking back under that now is going to be problematic. And then we have 23,560 and 23,710 above that. I don't think we're going to get anything above the 560 today. We'll see how it plays out. But again, the pop and the flop, Getting back below these levels, as I've identified as support on these charts, like this 23,391, right? And then getting back below 23,319, that's going to be a slow churn and bleed down. So looking at all the indexes, kind of putting a wrap up on this, watch the value areas, right? If you want to be able to load this on your chart, there's a link at the bottom that you can do this. I found this extremely helpful when I'm looking at, is it going to be a trending day up, a trending day down, right? We were chopping in value area all night long, and now we're finally breaking it above it. All the indexes are acting the same. So, there's another chance to squeeze some shorts here potentially today, and you'll, if three of these four get back into value, that's off. But as long as they hold above it, the trend is up, and you should respect it. I hope this helps. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.